Welcome to the Period Besties podcast with Stasha and Katie. Think about it as chatting with your best friends about all the TMI stuff you've never talked about before with two period coaches who've been helping hormones collectively for over 20 years now. I'm Stasha.
And I'm Katie, and we're pulling back the curtain on what it's like in the world of menstrual coaching. From puberty to menopause and everything in between, we're here to show you how period coaching can save the day. We'll share practical tips and information you can put to immediate use to improve your hormones and happiness.
We're removing the mystery, ending the taboo, and shining a light on just how powerful period coaching can be.
So whether you need period coaching or are considering becoming a period coach yourself, these episodes are going to help you. We'll share stories, coach live on air, and bring smart, savvy guests to share their wisdom too. Let's start today's episode.
Welcome back to Period Besties, everybody. Today we're going to do an episode on how to advocate for yourself. It's a conversation that comes up a lot when we're talking about other things on this podcast. So we thought we'd do an entire episode dedicated to just advocating for yourself. This is one of those situations you go into the doctor's office, you get stressed, anxious, or you're just exhausted because you've been in a waiting room for like twice as long as you had anticipated. Whatever the reason, by the time you get into the office, you're just in and out, and they're trying to push you through, right? Most doctors are just trying to get you in and out. 7 minutes, let's do this. So we thought we'd put together some of our favorite ways of advocating for yourself and things that you can do to set yourself up so that when you go into your doctor's office, you can have a more successful experience.
Yes. And I think something that we want to start off with is that you can be firm and kind. I think a lot of us get nervous, and studies show that your blood pressure is actually higher when you first go into the doctor's office if you're a little nervous or anxious or not sure what the meeting is going to be about, which is why I always tell my clients, make sure you also get your blood pressure checked again at the end of your meeting with the doctor. But same thing goes with confidence sometimes, right? Just feeling like this is what you really want to advocate for and feeling like you can't really be firm with your doctor. And we're here to tell you that you can be kind and firm and really make sure you're advocating for yourself so that anything that you're feeling doesn't get pushed away and pushed to the side, that you're really, really advocating for yourself, because nobody knows you or your body better than yourself. So also taking that accountability and power back in your own hands and your own body, because it's true. You know how you're feeling. You know when something's not right. Like, you have a gut feeling. We all do. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to acknowledge where that feels in our body. For me, I always feel like when something is good, lighter in my belly. And when something is not good, and something I said yes to that I should have said no to, right? I get like this heavy pit in my stomach. Really listening to that and advocating for yourself go hand in hand, and bringing that confidence, that body confidence back to yourself.
Yeah, one of the things that I think really helps with that is taking in a list of your symptoms and looking at that before you're in the doctor's office. So whether it's reviewing it in the waiting room or whatever, but really going through and writing down everything that you've been feeling. And you know when something's not right. And if you're charting, this can really help get clarity as to what it is. So you may feel something's off. And if you're charting, it can really help to see every day, oh, I'm feeling a little dizzy. I'm feeling a little weak in the knees. I'm feeling like I'm having more headaches lately. If you go back and look at your chart, you can see, yeah, I am having more headaches lately. I have been feeling dizzy several days in a row. I have whatever it is, right? If you're really charting, you can see all of those symptoms really clearly. You can write them down, and you can come into your doctor's office with really clear things. I've had poor digestion for 7 days out of the last 14. I've had headaches 3 times in the last week. I've had a migraine 4 times in the last month. You can really come in with solid data, especially when you're charting and tracking. So I highly encourage that. But even if you just go in and say, I've been having a lot more headaches, my stomach's been really bothering me, I've been really gassy and bloated, even though I haven't changed my diet, listing everything and having it written down on a list so that when you get into the doctor's office, I know this happens to me, I just get flustered. I get overwhelmed. I get medically anxious. I've had a lot of bad experiences in doctor's offices. I know I'm not unique in that. So by the time I get into a doctor's office, even knowing that I have a good doctor, I still get flustered and easily distracted or just I forget. So I make sure everything is written down, every symptom, and that really helps my confidence because I'm like, it's not in my head. It really is happening. I have the list in front of me. And I highly recommend walking in with a list of questions that you have, ideas. Maybe you've been talking to a friend. I know we mentioned this during Breast Cancer Awareness Month where you were saying you had Des Brents and you were talking to a friend and the ultrasound came up. So if you've been talking to your friends and they're suggesting something like, oh, yeah, I had this test, it was really helpful. You may want to go in with the list of questions like, I have dense breast tissue. Why haven't I had an ultrasound suggested to me? And asking those questions like, these are treatments that I think might be helpful. Why or why not do you agree? So making sure you have your list, not just of your symptoms, but any questions that you have, any concerns that you have, any options that you want to discuss, write it all down. I love walking into my doctor's office and flipping open my notebook and being like, this is what we've got to go through today. Buckle in.
Oh, same. And I was also going to say, like, this is something that I do with my clients ahead of their appointments, especially if we're reviewing lab work, we're going over hormone levels, we're talking about different symptoms. We literally meet and go through every question, write it down, and also coming up with ways we're going to advocate for ourselves if the doctor says no. If the doctor says, no, I don't think that's necessary. No, I'm not going to do that for whatever reason, we come up with something that they can say that they feel comfortable saying. You know, I'm very blunt with my doctor. I have insurance. So I say, does insurance cover this? Yes. Okay. So why would you not let me order this test? And sometimes I think I have a little bit of medical anxiety in terms of like, I want to know that I'm going to live forever and nothing's wrong. And I want to check every box and make sure I'm aware of that. And I know that about myself. And I think my doctor is also aware of that, but I'm very, well, why not? Like, why would you not suggest this at this time? Do you think there's a better time? Do you think that there's a different test, a better test? But I think it's like really, if there's pushback, just simple, why? Why not? Why would you not do this? Especially with hormones. And I know we get this all the time. Your hormones change every single day. There's no need for testing. Well, why not? Can't we get a baseline? Wouldn't a baseline be better than nothing? You know, and again, going back to that kind and firm, but again, I always go in with questions. And I was telling Stasha when I was pregnant, the doctor asked me if I could schedule my appointments to be the last of the day. He was like, I'm totally fine answering all your questions, but I need you to come in last appointment of the day because I don't have the time because I have to get to my other patients. And I asked him, so no one else has questions? Like, no one else is asking you these things? And he's like, honestly, no, like they're taking my recommendations and they're going with it. They're not asking me all these questions or can I do this differently? Especially when I was having to do the blood glucose test. And I was like, I'm not drinking the drink. Here's what I want to do instead. And having to have conversations with him about it. So that was my experience with my OB. And it was fine because he wasn't brushing me off. He was basically saying, I'm more than happy to, but I need to put you at the end of the day.
Which
so I have more time, which I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Asking why, and then if you don't have a doctor that says it's perfectly fine, I'll answer your questions, get a new doctor.
Oh, yes.
Don't
Please.
feel locked in. I mean, first of all, they'll kick you off of your insurance and make you get a new doctor with nary a thought about it. So really, there's no reason that you shouldn't feel free to do the same thing. Doctor shop if you need to. There's no reason. If you don't like your doctor for whatever reason, try a new one.
Yes. And that just brought up something else I want to share. You can interview doctors before choosing a doctor. I've always interviewed my doctors before choosing them. So that's also something that you can do. They don't really advertise that, but you can call the doctor's office and say, can I set up a introductory meeting to see if the doctor and I are a good fit? I did this when I was pregnant, and then my doctor decided to retire and I was too sick to get a new doctor. So I just took the doctor that was there, which is fine. It worked out fine. Everyone's great. But that was something that I didn't know until I moved to LA. And I'm like, I don't know what kind of doctor I'm looking for, who I want. And I started calling different offices, and someone said, well, you can set up a meeting to come in and meet with them. I said, oh, great. So I just did that with all my doctors. And I know it takes some time. So it depends on what type of doctor, who you're going to see. I would say like your OB probably is the one that you're going to work with the most. So making sure that you really connect with them would be key. But that's something else to think about. If you don't like your doctor, find a new one and find one that you like.
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody who will listen to your questions and listen to your symptoms and listen to your concerns and have a conversation with you about them. I also like having a sentence ready, like you said, if you're having pushback, especially if it's a doctor you think this might not be the doctor for me, and just saying something to the effect of, I want it noted in my file that you denied this test, or that you denied this ultrasound, or that you told me that this symptom is meaningless. Like whatever it is, I heard it from another spoonie who was talking about advocating for herself in the doctor's office and trying to get something dealt with. And she just said, I just told them I wanted it noted in my file. And as soon as I said I wanted it noted in my file, suddenly that test could be done. It was incredible how effective it was. So sometimes forcing them to put it down in writing can really make a difference. And especially if you're going to be shopping around for a new doctor, if you think I'm going to switch doctors, sometimes just saying, I want it written down in my file can help you decide whether this is the doctor you're going to stick with or not, depending on the reaction to you saying that. So sometimes it can help you make a decision that it's time for a new doctor, or, okay, you know what, they'll get their head out of their ass and actually do it if I force them to, and I'll stay. Maybe it's just because they're close and convenient, but whatever the reason is, sometimes it can help you make that decision. But at the very least, then it is in your file. So then when you do go to a different doctor, it's there. You can have that conversation because it is actually in your file. Ask for things in writing and ask for the notes from your session. You're allowed to have your own notes. You're allowed to have your own files and your own tests. So ask for all of those things. I want the notes from today's session. I want the summary of today's session. I want my files. I want my test results. I want everything emailed to me. You can also ask for those things. So I want it noted in my file that XYZ, and I want a copy of my file. Two really powerful sentences that bring the power back into your court when you're dealing with what feels like a mega power imbalance in the doctor's office. But ultimately, you're the client, right? You're the person who you don't have to stick with that person. So take that power back.
And speaking of files, I have a file. I have two files. I have a file on my desktop because now a lot of you're getting the portal and everything you can download. But previously, I would get the lab work done and then get the reports given to me by my doctor. So I literally have a file like this big in my closet of everything. And then I have a file on my desktop, which I think is really helpful, especially when you're looking at hormones and different tests and seeing how things have shifted and changed over the years. It's always helpful to go back and, okay, this is when I felt my best. This is where my levels were. Here's where my levels are now, and trying to manage and figuring that out. But having that data is really helpful. So not only how you're feeling and symptoms, but also the hard data. Like when I had the boys, all of a sudden my cholesterol went really high, and I looked and I was like, it was never this high. And I was able to show my doctor, because it was my endocrinologist versus my other doctor, like the results. And she's like, oh my God, this is weird. This happened right away. And I have family history. So we went, and I went to a cardiologist, did all this extra test. But if I hadn't have been like looking and really noticing how drastic it went, I don't know if she would have been as alert, concerned, I guess, because it was so drastically different.
Yeah, that's a really good point, having that, because they don't necessarily look back at old data.
Mhm.
They generally look at the current test, and that's kind of it. So having that comparison can really make a difference.
Yeah. And in general, I think if you just really pause, take deep breaths before you go into the doctor's office, talk to your friends, reach out to us. We can help you put questions together, right? Just get really solid and comfortable as well as you can before you step foot into that doctor's office too, knowing that it's going to be loud. You'll probably have to wait. Bring a book. I always bring a book, because I know sometimes doom scrolling is not going to make me feel better. So I bring one of my books. I take deep breaths. I just really try to get comfortable, and I have an objective. Even though it's a yearly physical, I still am like, okay, what's my objective? Why am I actually showing up to this? What do I want to know? How do I want to utilize my doctor to help me feel better, and like putting all those pieces together versus I have to do this. I don't want to do this, because that will, like, how can they actually be a support system for you?
Yeah, I love that. It really is that flipping the script. How are they my support system? And
Yep.
if you're not feeling supported, what do you need to do to change so that you feel like you have an actual support system? That's what they're there for. So maybe it is changing the doctor. Maybe it's just changing your approach to your appointments, like having an objective, having the list, having things written down. But what is it that you need to do to feel really supported going into the appointment yourself? For me, that's writing everything down, having that list. And then how can you feel more supported in your journey through your own medical health?
Yeah. And if you're going through something challenging right now too, have someone come with you. You can have somebody come with you.
Hmm.
If a friend is really good at speaking their mind, or your family member, somebody in your life that you feel comfortable knowing, obviously your medical history and everything, have them come with you. My parents always go to the doctors together. I'm starting to go with my parents to their doctor's appointments, just being there for them, because if it's not you, sometimes you can see what's going on with someone else differently. And that can also be really eye-opening and helpful too.
Hugely helpful to have another set of ears in a doctor's appointment. It's amazing when you get home and you're like, oh gosh, what was that we talked about? Or what was that thing that we said? And my doctor, the new one that I have now, well, technically a new nurse practitioner, but like the nicest, most informed person I've ever worked with, and would pick her over a doctor probably any day of the week at this point, records the whole session, right? Just says, hey, can I record this? I don't like to stop. I talk real quick. I'm from New York. I want to get things done. I'm like, oh my God, me too. Let's do it. So I was like, wait a minute. Does that mean I can record too? And she's like, of course. So maybe even just recording because I mean, she asked, I asked, we both were like, sweet, this is mutually helpful. So we both record. So now we both have notes, and she has some like medical AI transcripty thing that like pulls the important bits out. And I was like, okay, that's a great idea. And I can run it through a, talk to text thing so that I can see it, because I'm a visual, not auditory processor. So I can run the recording through and I can see it and I can pull out the bits that were important. So, also, what are the things that help support you in your neurodiversity or your unique way of learning or whatever, so that it's more supportive for you? I found that hugely helpful. And the more that I don't necessarily want to put my health information through AI bots. There's things I like about AI and there's things that I don't. So I have to I'm a little hesitant on what I use for that, but I also have HIPAA protocols in my work because period coaching. So some of the things that I have are like HIPAA compliant. So I do certain things through those, other things I choose not to. So, can AI be helpful for you? Also, what do you feel comfortable with? But it can be helpful for some people. And It can be really helpful for especially people who have learning disorders, dyslexia, processing issues. So, depending on what's going on for you and what you need and what support, that can be helpful as well. But I love bringing another set of eyes and ears that just you pick up things that other people don't, and other people pick up things that you don't. So it's really helpful to have that support.
I love it. So next time you go to the doctors, and or if you haven't been to the doctors in a while, let's make an appointment, advocate for yourself, and hopefully this really helps you figure out the best way for you to navigate your relationship with your doctor and taking care of your health.
Yeah. Questions, comments, suggestions? Is there something that we didn't talk about that you think would be really helpful for people for advocating in their doctor's office? Let us know. We want to hear it. We can't wait to hear from you, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
A big shout out and thank you to our sponsors for today's episode, Period Coaching School and Katie Bressack Wellness.
Thanks to you, our favorite bestie, for listening to the Period Besties podcast, where no topic is TMI. And of course, share this episode with your besties.
Remember to leave us a 5-star review, nothing less than the best for us besties, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
You can follow us on Instagram at Stasha Washburn and at Katie Bressack, or email us at periodbestiespodcast@gmail.com.
Check out more about us at katiebressack.com and periodcoachingschool.com. And of course, check the show notes for free goodies and extras that support this episode.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye for now, besties.